In 2015, a welder accepted a job at a company he'd never heard of. Part of his paycheck came in company stock, and he barely understood its value. 10 years later, that company launched the biggest IPO in history, turning thousands of ordinary employees into millionaires overnight. In 2015, Juan Hernandez was a contract welder. He worked from job to job, earning an hourly wage with no guarantee of what came next. One day, a friend recommended him for a welding position at a company called SpaceX. He had never heard of it. He had no background in aerospace and no idea he was stepping into history. As part of his compensation, the company offered him stock, about $10,000 worth. To Juan, it meant very little. He had never owned shares before, and neither had most people he knew. He simply accepted the offer and got back to work. At most companies, stock ownership is reserved for executives and senior engineers. But SpaceX believed every employee helping build the future should share in its success. Welders, technicians, machinists, and factory workers all received the same opportunity. For the next decade, Juan kept doing what he knew best. He showed up every day, welded rocket components, and helped build spacecraft that would change the space industry. He never imagined those forgotten shares would one day transform his life. Then came June 12, 2026. SpaceX completed the largest initial public offering in history, raising $75 billion at a valuation of nearly $1.8 trillion. Investor demand quickly pushed the company's value above $2 trillion on its first trading day. Curious, Juan opened his investment account. The shares he had almost ignored were now worth well over $1 million. Overnight, an ordinary welder became a millionaire. He wasn't alone. Thousands of SpaceX employees experienced the same life-changing moment. Juan's story proves that extraordinary wealth isn't always created in boardrooms. Sometimes it begins on a factory floor with patience, ownership, and the courage to believe in a mission long before the rest of the world does. At the center of this historic moment stood one man whose ownership dwarfed almost everyone else's. Elon Musk remained the company's largest shareholder, holding a massive stake built over years of relentless risk and ambition. As investors rushed to buy shares, the value of his ownership climbed to extraordinary levels. Combined with his interests in other technology companies, his estimated fortune reached numbers once thought impossible. Yet the biggest headline wasn't about one billionaire. It was about the thousands of employees who helped build the rockets. Engineers, technicians, welders, machinists, and factory workers suddenly found themselves sharing in the company's success. Years of stock compensation that once seemed uncertain had become genuinely life-changing. Unlike many corporations, where meaningful equity is concentrated among executives, this company rewarded employees across nearly every level of the organization. The result was one of the largest wealth creation events for ordinary workers in modern business history. Some employees became millionaires almost overnight. Others, who had spent years accepting lower salaries in exchange for stock, discovered that patience had produced rewards far beyond their expectations. Among them were early team members who had joined when the company was still fighting for survival. They stayed through launch failures, long nights, and years of uncertainty, believing the mission was worth the risk. For many, those shares represented more than financial success. They represented years of sacrifice, perseverance, and belief in a future that few people could imagine. Supporters called it proof that ownership could transform ordinary careers into extraordinary success stories. Critics remained cautious, warning that soaring valuations can rise just as quickly as they fall. Only time would decide which side was right. But one thing was already undeniable. The company had changed not only the future of space exploration, but also the lives of thousands of people who helped build it from the ground up. Not everyone agreed SpaceX was worth what the market claimed it was worth. Analysts pointed to one undeniable fact. Despite its remarkable achievements, SpaceX had not yet become consistently profitable. Morningstar analysts argued a more reasonable valuation might be closer to $780 billion. That was less than half of the valuation investors ultimately assigned to the company. Supporters saw things differently. They believed the market wasn't paying for today's earnings, it was investing in decades of future innovation, reusable rockets, satellite networks, and humanity's expansion into space. The first day of trading reflected that optimism. SpaceX shares surged nearly 19%, signaling enormous confidence from investors around the world. Within hours, the company's valuation climbed beyond $2 trillion, making it more valuable than the economies of most countries on Earth. Whether that valuation stands the test of time is a question only the future can answer. But for the people whose lives changed overnight, the debate on Wall Street mattered very little. Thousands of employees had accepted lower salaries, long hours, and uncertain careers because they believed in a mission that many thought was impossible. This time, that belief paid off. Juan Hernandez captured the moment perfectly. He said the opportunity wasn't only for executives or engineers. It changed the lives of welders, electricians, technicians, cooks, and countless ordinary workers who helped build the company from the ground up. Instead of keeping his success to himself, Hernandez began teaching his 3 children about investing, ownership, and the power of long-term thinking. He wanted them to understand lessons his own family had never been given. Now imagine that story repeated across more than 4,400 families. The scale becomes extraordinary. This wasn't simply another company going public. It became one of the largest employee wealth creation events in modern business history. Thousands of ordinary workers became millionaires not through luck, but through years of patience, ownership, and belief in a bold vision. And when you compare this event with every major IPO that came before it, one conclusion becomes impossible to ignore. This wasn't just another record-breaking debut on Wall Street. It redefined what employee ownership could achieve on a truly unprecedented scale. From the opening bell, demand for SpaceX shares reached extraordinary levels. Within just a few hours of trading, more than 360 million shares had already changed hands. That was nearly 10 times the trading volume of the next largest public offering that year. Around the world, everyday investors refreshed their trading apps, hoping to secure even a small position in the company. Demand exploded far beyond supply. The order book reportedly attracted around $150 billion in investor interest for a public offering raising only $75 billion. Many investors received only a small fraction of the shares they had requested. Unlike most major IPOs, SpaceX reserved nearly 30% of its offering for individual investors, instead of allocating almost everything to large financial institutions. That decision allowed far more ordinary investors to participate in one of history's biggest market debuts. Early venture capital firms also celebrated enormous gains. One investment of roughly $600 million had grown into an estimated $50 billion, becoming one of the largest venture capital successes ever recorded. Yet the biggest winners weren't only investment firms. Thousands of employees who had spent years building rockets, satellites, and launch systems were finally able to realize the value of the shares they had patiently held. The stock exchange moved quickly, even changing listing rules to accelerate SpaceX's inclusion in a major market index. That meant millions of retirement accounts and index funds would automatically begin purchasing SpaceX shares. The effect spread far beyond a single company. Unlike many public offerings, employees were allowed to sell part of their holdings only weeks after the IPO. For some, it meant eliminating years of debt. For others, it meant buying a first home, funding their children's education, or finally achieving long-term financial security. This wasn't simply money changing hands. It was an event that reshaped thousands of families and created generational wealth almost overnight. And every one of those remarkable stories began with the same simple decision: believing in an uncertain dream long before anyone knew it would succeed. Years before this historic IPO, SpaceX was a company many people believed would never survive. Its early rocket launches failed in front of the world. Each setback pushed the company closer to bankruptcy, and many assumed its journey would soon come to an end. But SpaceX refused to quit. The company kept building, testing, and learning from every failure. Year after year, it expanded into new industries, from satellite communications and global internet services to artificial intelligence and ambitious plans for space-based computing infrastructure. Its growth became extraordinary. Revenue increased by more than 30% in a single year, reaching nearly $19 billion. Yet despite that rapid expansion, the company still reported billions of dollars in annual losses. That created one of the biggest paradoxes in modern financial history. A company losing billions was suddenly valued at nearly $2 trillion. For many investors, the valuation wasn't based only on today's profits. It reflected confidence in what SpaceX might achieve over the coming decades. Executives told investors the company was pursuing opportunities worth more than $28 trillion across transportation, communications, artificial intelligence, and space technology. Excitement spread throughout financial markets as one of the largest public offerings in history captured global attention. Still, experienced market analysts urged caution. History has shown that spectacular IPOs often cool after the initial excitement fades. Strong first-day performance does not always guarantee long-term success. For employees holding company shares, those market movements became deeply personal. Most could not immediately sell their stock because lockup restrictions would remain in place for months. Like every long-term investor, they now faced a difficult decision: hold their shares and believe in the future, or sell and secure their newfound wealth. Whatever choice they eventually make, one fact can never change. Thousands of ordinary families have already experienced a life-changing opportunity that will shape their futures for generations to come. What does it feel like to wake up one morning and suddenly become a millionaire? For thousands of SpaceX employees, that question became reality almost overnight. The first reaction wasn't excitement, it was disbelief. Many stared at their accounts, wondering if the numbers were real. Others immediately called financial advisors, unsure how to manage a level of wealth they had never imagined. For some employees, the first priority was paying off years of debt. Others thought about buying a home, supporting their parents, or securing their children's education. Suddenly, possibilities that once seemed impossible became real. But unexpected wealth also brings responsibility. Managing millions of dollars requires careful decisions, long-term planning, and emotional discipline. Many employees realized that protecting their future was just as important as creating it. Then something remarkable happened. On Monday morning, many of them returned to work exactly as before. Engineers returned to their computers. Welders picked up their torches. Technicians walked back into the factories. Not because they had to, but because the mission still mattered. For them, the IPO was never the final goal. SpaceX continued pursuing even bigger ambitions. The company remained focused on reusable rockets, global satellite internet, artificial intelligence, and future technologies that could reshape humanity's relationship with space. Industry experts believe this historic public offering could influence many other private technology companies. More businesses may choose to reward employees with meaningful ownership, allowing the people who build extraordinary companies to share directly in their success. But for those who live this story, the greatest transformation wasn't measured in stock prices. It was measured in confidence. People who once worried about simply getting by now believed they were helping build something that could outlast their own careers. As the excitement fades and history begins to judge this remarkable moment, one question remains. If ownership can transform thousands of ordinary lives, how many more opportunities like this are still waiting to be created? Will SpaceX's historic valuation hold? Will Elon Musk remain the world's first trillionaire? Those are questions only time and the market can answer. Only days after its historic public listing, SpaceX announced a $20 billion bond offering. Investor demand remained incredibly strong, but the move also raised new questions. Some shareholders wondered whether the company was expanding too quickly, while others believed it reflected confidence in SpaceX's long-term future. As expected, the stock price gradually cooled after its explosive debut. Financial historians often point out that this pattern is common. Major public offerings frequently experience intense excitement before settling into more stable trading. Not everyone celebrated the record-breaking valuation. Some analysts argued that the company had become significantly overvalued. Others warned that a sharp decline could affect retirement funds and investment portfolios connected to the broader market. The debate continues, and opinions remain divided. But for thousands of employees whose lives changed overnight, those market discussions feel far less important. The opportunity they received is real. Many have already purchased homes, invested in their families, or secured financial futures they once believed were impossible. Economists will likely debate the true value of this IPO for many years. Some will focus on the unprecedented market capitalization. Others will study how employee ownership created wealth on a scale rarely seen in corporate history. One fact, however, stands above every headline. This was not simply the story of one man's extraordinary fortune. Thousands of engineers, technicians, welders, designers, and factory workers shared in that success. That makes this moment unlike almost any other in modern business history. For Juan Hernandez, the greatest reward was never the money itself. It was the opportunity to build a better future for his family. His journey proves that life-changing opportunities can appear where no one expects them. As SpaceX enters its next chapter, one truth remains impossible to ignore. Sometimes the greatest breakthroughs are measured not only by rockets reaching space, but by ordinary people reaching opportunities they never imagined. The morning after the historic IPO, thousands of newly created millionaires returned to work just as they had the day before. Not because they needed another paycheck, but because the work still mattered to them. Their mission hadn't changed, only their lives had. More than 4,000 employees became millionaires in a single day. Nearly 400 crossed the $100 million mark. It became one of the greatest wealth creation events in financial history, proving that extraordinary success can sometimes be shared far beyond the founders. At the top stood a founder whose fortune reached a level the world had never seen before. But trillionaires make headlines. The real story belongs to the welders, machinists, engineers, technicians, office staff, and cooks whose dedication helped build something extraordinary from the ground up. Imagine a welder who once ignored a small stock grant because it seemed unimportant. Years later, that same decision transformed his family's future. Today, he teaches his children about ownership, investing, and building wealth through patience instead of simply earning a paycheck. His children will grow up with opportunities he never had. This IPO may also change the way companies reward the people who build them. Around the world, business leaders are watching closely. More companies may begin sharing ownership with employees, creating wealth not only for executives and investors, but also for the people who make success possible every day. No one knows where the company's valuation will be years from now. Markets rise and fall. Stock prices change. But for the thousands of employees whose lives changed that day, the opportunity they received is already permanent. Some stories are about rockets reaching space. This one is about ordinary people reaching possibilities they never imagined. A welder who once didn't understand what a stock was, now owns a small piece of the future. The world is changing faster than ever. The real question isn't whether change is coming. It's who gets the chance to grow with it. Thank you for watching. If this story inspired you, share it with someone who needs to hear it.